had a couple trades this week. Um,
Big time trades.
yeah, it's funny. When I was young, we never had any trades really during the season. Now the trade deadline was much earlier than it is now, but now you have teams that are struggling that we talked about, and they're dumping players, and it's a little bit like the NBA where some of these players are sort of dictating where they want to do, where they want to go and who they want to play with and that sort of thing. But Davante Adams to the Jets, does that what does that do to the Jets? How does that change their dynamic? Does that help, hurt? Are the Jets going to jet? What do you think?
I think it can only help. I mean, it's a Green Bay duo reunion. They were. I mean, Rodgers had three MVPs in Green Bay. Now, not all of them were with Davante Adams, but um, he's. I think their chemistry is they're
What do you
going
have? Four
to
MVPs.
four
Yeah,
MVPs.
4 MVP.
I think they're gonna come out. They're gonna come out the gate with great chemistry already, and they're gonna light it up. But with that being said, I don't know if the Jets are Super Bowl contenders even with that. I think the organization is just a losing organization, and they. I mean, the fact that they fired Robert Saleh is just crazy to me. His side of the ball was not the side of the ball that was failing. It was
Hey,
very
listen,
the defense was
you,
great.
listen. You can't tell me that 12 hours before they fire Robert Saleh, the owner Woody Johnson calls Aaron Rodgers to have a conversation about his injury, and none of that comes up. And 12 hours later, Saleh gets fired, and Aaron Rodgers had nothing to do with that. I know he
Yeah,
says he didn't, and he's offended by that or whatever else. But you know what? He said stuff in the past that comes out to be untruthful before. And this is the thing. I used to love Aaron Rodgers. I think he is probably one of the purest players at that position I've ever seen. With what he can do, throwing the ball, putting it in,
And
spaces and everything else. But as I've gotten to know him, seeing him on McAfee, different things, he is just not the same person to me that he was. And that's fine. It's just some of the luster's just rubbed off for me. Um, but I do think that if they can create that chemistry right out of the gate, and Garrett Wilson is now not getting double teamed on every play, I mean, he's still going to be the number. I feel like Wilson's still the number one. Adam's still, maybe 1A, and it's going to be hard to cover them both. And then, um, you know, I think Mike Williams is the odd man out, and he's probably ended up going out the door. Uh, if I were Kansas City, I'd be making a call. Uh,
I don't
but
think Davante Adams slips. I don't think Davante Adams slips, and
probably
I think
not.
he catches that ball. Ethan, as somebody who just played the Jets, do you think Davante Adams would have changed that game? Do you think you would have lost that game if the Jets had Davante Adams?
I mean, with us, getting into the next section, I'm sure with Cooper, we could talk that. But yeah, I mean, Adams being on the Jets definitely changes it. But the Jets are going to jet at the end of the day. They're going to somehow find a way to screw it up, mess it up. But I think they're on the. At least I thought they were on the way for a culture change until they fired Saleh, and that was just such a surprise and such a shock that it completely derails what they were on. So I feel like right now they're kind of just a boat drifting a sea, kind of lost, and don't know what they're gonna do, but Adams definitely helps improve the wide receiver position, helps improve Garrett. He's going to train him up a little bit, hopefully. But we'll see. We'll see what it
Well,
does.
you talked a little bit about your team. Cleveland trades Cooper to the Bills, does that put them in Super Bowl contention? Does that put him over the top? Because at the end of the day, he doesn't play defense. And me and you were at that game, and the Bills could not stop King Henry from running right up the gut. So you tell me.
Well, it's going to improve the offense for sure, but yeah, the defense is still a liability at the end of the day. So, we've gotten a little healthy with getting Teron Johnson back, but we're going to have to get over the hump of the defense before we get any better. We can go out there and score 40 points, but if the other team's scoring 50, it doesn't matter. So I think it puts us up there with contenders, but, Kansas City's still out there. Mahomes is still, he's still the best in the league. He's still the crowned king, but it definitely gives us a chance. So I'm feeling a little more comfortable, feeling a little better going into it. What do you guys think, though?
I mean, I think he definitely helps because they've got a very young receiving core, and I mean the veterans that they do have are not number ones. And trust me, I was very upset when you guys traded up to get Keon Coleman. I really wanted him bad in New England, and he's got the potential to be an absolute stud. If he can come into his own, and he's got one of the top quarterbacks throwing to him. And, and that's the other thing. This year, I don't know if you realize this, Josh Allen doesn't have an interception. That's very uncharacteristic for Josh Allen. He does have one fumble, but he doesn't have an interception. So at the end of the day, I think Cooper definitely helps. It depends on how quickly you can get there, get to know the playbook, get some chemistry. Adams and Rodgers already have that chemistry. They already have they can just look at each other and know exactly what to do. Hey, I'm going back corner fade and that sort of thing where it's, it might take a couple of weeks to get Cooper and Allen on that path. But I think unlike Stephon Diggs, who to me was just a cancer and a selfish player, Cooper's not that guy. And I think he's probably super happy to be the hell out of Cleveland and that shit show.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Now, one trade that I think could happen is the Lions. I think they're going to try and go after a edge rusher. I think it could be. I think honestly the Cowboys could get rid of Micah Parsons. But I also think that the Raiders. I think what's his name?
Max Crosby.
Max Crosby, yeah, but Brad Holmes is the GM for the Lions, and he was a part of some big trades in LA when he was one of the executives in LA. He helped us get Jalen Ramsey. He helped us get Matthew Stafford, some big trades in LA. And I think that, the Lions are on the edge. I think they are probably, 1, 2, or 3 in the NFC. They're definitely there. And losing, you could see the Lions players were just emotional when they lost Aiden Hutchinson.
Oh, well, it's a terrible injury.
He's the heart. He's the heart of the defense. He's such a passionate player.
Yeah, he's from Michigan, played at Michigan, and he's the best player in that defense.
But I think if you're Brad Holmes, I think you could call up Las Vegas and say, hey, we'll offer 2 number ones for Max Crosby, who also played in Michigan in college. He played in a small school in Michigan in college.
Yeah.
And I think, a first, 2 firsts or a first and a second, and you get another dynamic edge rusher. And then next year you get Aiden Hutchinson comes back.
Best in the league. Best edge rusher.
If you're Detroit and you want to go all in, then yeah, maybe you do that. But you want to give up your future for Crosby, who I think is one of the top 5 best pass rushers in this league.
I I mean, I think the Lions are in a position where a lot of their star players are young. You know,
Yeah,
if you
for
look
sure.
at a lot of them, they are young, and they're in the position. You know, you can give up some of that draft capital to go after someone like Crosby because it puts you in a position where it
To
put the
win now.
Rams in a position to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
think about the Lions winning a Super Bowl. Think about how Detroit would just go ballistic. Even if they got to a Super
yeah,
Bowl,
I
they would
mean,
go
Yeah,
ballistic.
underdog.
I mean they've never
They've
even
never
been to a
been to
Super
one.
Bowl,
Yeah. So
and you know the city of Detroit is starving for that, and
I think the
I mean
Lions are
they should have
ready.
went last year. They were up 10 points in the fourth quarter and um,
I think the
screwed
Lions
it up.
are ready and primed to get to the Super Bowl, and I think they would be a tough out for Kansas City, Buffalo, or the Ravens, who
I
that's who
mean,
I'm assuming is going to get there.
up and down, they have the roster. I
Yeah.
think they are Super Bowl ready for sure.
I mean, they have a great running back duo, which elevates their Jared Goff, who I think is a good quarterback. I don't think he's a great quarterback. I think he's a good quarterback, but it elevates him. They've got a great number one wide receiver in Amon-Ra St. Brown, one of the best the best offensive lineman in Penei Sewell. Um, and they had one of the best defensive players in the league, and they lost him. And I think if they
Yeah.
can get a new defensive edge rusher back, they can.
Well, in defensive edge rushing, defensive pressure is so big in the NFL too because it creates interceptions, it creates bad passes, it creates short losses on the rush side. So they need to get someone to replace him to be able to compete. If
I mean
people are
sacks
going to
are
run down their
important.
throats, I mean it's not going to happen. So
Yeah.
Sacks are important, but just quarterback pressure is
yeah.
one of the biggest factors because if you get to the quarterback, you sack him, that's great. But just pressure can disrupt everything on an offense. And the quicker you can get to a quarterback, the quicker you can get around him, make him move off his spot, make him rush his throw, make him, quicken him up. It makes the biggest difference on defense.
Well, and a star player on defense like that. I mean, think about Aaron
Yeah.
Donald. Aaron Donald, he had a lot of sacks. Usually he had 10, 12 sacks in a year. But that was being double teamed or triple teamed. So because one player gets double teamed or triple teamed, I understand edge rushers are slightly different, that they don't get that double teams as often. Aaron Donald was shooting it up right through the middle most of the time. But it opens up lanes for other players. It opens up, when Aaron Donald was on the team, the Rams, the other defensive players shined because they were getting those one-on-ones that they could use. So I think
and if you have Max Crosby and Hutchinson comes back, then you put him on either side.
Yeah,
and it's and there's a very high chance that if they make it to the Super Bowl, he could come back.
Yeah,
Max Crosby's not like the 15th best edge rusher in the league.
No,
he's top 3, top 5. He is. He's really
definitely
good.
top 5.
Yeah, I agree.
And if you get in the Super Bowl against the Kansas City, he loves to fuck with Mahomes.
Oh,
he does.
Yeah, there's a rival.
Oh yeah,
For sure.
yeah.